What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another gloving episode, baby. We're going to be talking about pinches today. Now, pinches are very essential for you to know when you're getting into tech. Well, not really a techie concept, I would say, but it definitely helps out with when you're doing, finger tutting, or if you want to travel around the grid in that fashion. And it's a pretty simple concept to get into. So we're going to be talking about some things you can do with pinches. And from then on, you can use your own imagination to see how you use pinches. Everybody kind of combines pinching with other concepts. It's kind of a concept that's used mostly for transitions and moving around, like I said. But it's still its own concept. You can still do some stuff with just pinches, right? So we talked about pinches in my finger tutting video because it is a good way to move around when you're working with gestures. It's a pretty good transition. You don't just have to trace stuff or hinge to stuff. You can actually pinch to somewhere and then move that whole structure to a different place, right? So you can have this structure right here, and then you can pinch to your thumb, which is kind of like hinging, a little bit of hinging, but you're moving that point that's right here to over here, and then you can open it up a different way, right? You don't have to open it up the same way because you're closing that point. Per se, when we were talking about the grid mentality that you're supposed to have, you basically have certain amount of points out, and then you're just isolating certain stuff and then moving to that, right? And you can eliminate points by bringing them closer, and then you have 2 points right here. You can bring it up to 4 points right there, and you can bring it out to 6 points right there, right? Just depending on where you have those structures located. But you can be moving points, removing points, and we went all over that in my past video, so we're not going to get too into that. But basically, pinching is just doing the pinching motions with your fingers, right? You can be doing this pinch with every finger. You can be doing your pinkies and thumbs. Doesn't really have to be together. A lot of people use this together though, to make like a big crevice that you can be pulling stuff in, pulling stuff out. So you're basically just opening and closing, right? That's all you're doing. You're doing a pinching motion, right? You can also do it with your index finger and your ring. I see a lot of people do this type of stuff. You can open it up, pass some things through, shift it, twist it, open that one up, get that one through. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with pinches. Now, like we talked about in my finger tutting, you can be using that to move around the grid, right? You can pinch and then open out. You can also be moving left and right with just pinches. You can be opening up, closing, opening up, closing. So it's a really good way to transition into different stuff, because you don't really have to think too much because you're closing that point and then you're opening it back up. So you have those points into one right in the middle, and then you can open it up this way. You can open it up this way. You can open it up this way. I try to mainly, when you're doing like finger tutting stuff, mainly try to keep it in 90-degree angles. But you can also be working with 45s. I never said it wasn't like a real rule that you can't work with 45s, right? You can work with 45s, but I would recommend you to get acquainted with just 90-degree angles first. Like that cross you have, right, with the grid. So you can have that first, you can have that foundation. There you go. You can have that foundation in there first, and then you can start working with other angles, right? Mainly you're working with 90 degrees and 45s, because anything less than that it just looks like a sloppy angle, right? So you want to be working either on a 45-degree angle, you want to be working in a 90-degree angle, whichever way you want, right? but you want to be keeping those angles in mind, right? Anyways, you can be opening up stuff with pinches. You can be moving the fingers you're pinching on. You can be opening it up. Let's say you have this pinch right here. You can be using different fingers on different hands. I like to do this one where I just use this structure and bring that over there and then be passing stuff through. Close it. Then you open it back again. You can move away, do other stuff. Like I said, it's pretty much combining other concepts with pinching. But now we got to where you can just be pinching and moving and making other structures appear, right? So you can also be moving just with pinching, right? Just be moving other structures and move to another isolation point, right? There's another thing that I've never really seen anybody really talk about, but it is something I discovered just messing around and labbing, that you can just basically move the pinch and then move the structures, right? You can be moving up and down, or you can be moving left and right, right? You're basically just isolating and then moving the structures around that point. And you can be moving that way, right? You're just using pinches in here. You're pinching and then you're just moving the structure, right? Pinching, moving structure. Again, using that grid mentality where I want to be working in a certain axis, right? So you want to keep that in mind when you're moving that way. But this can look pretty cool just with gloves, right? Because you're just manipulating pinches in and out. You can also be combining, like I said, other things. Like let's say you want to combine a dial with a pinch, right? You can be dialing right here, take that away, making it appear, make other dials, pinch. Now you just have a dial right here. You can be doing like weight tuts with pinches. It can be its own little structure. Again, then you can open it back up, do some other things with that. But it's a basic move to know if you want to learn how to travel through the grid, right? Like I said, I don't want to give you guys just combos. I want you to learn how to just kind of freestyle and kind of see what other stuff you can bring to the table with just pinches, right? But basically the concept is pretty easy. You're just doing a pinching motion with your finger and then opening it back up. Again, I've seen this dude at How to Glove do this basic move where he has a basic pinch right here. He's pinching like his index and ring over here. And then he kind of like switches, kind of makes his like middle finger move, kind of dance around, right? It might not look that well in the camera, but you get the idea, right? He's just making it go back and forward. That's all you're doing. I mean, you're not really pinching right here. You're just making this one go away, and then you open it back up and make it appear, and then go back to the pinch. You also have another pinch right here that you can combine, so you can be doing like a double pinch, like pass through, right? Where you open that one up and you open this one up. Open that one up, open this one up. Depending on what you really want to do, but you have a lot of pinching potential with those, right? So that's pretty much what you really do with pinches. But what you gotta do is you gotta practice on what way you can really pinch and make it clean, right? So you're basically just passing things through, making them appear. You're traveling across the grid with pinches. You can make other motions with pinches, right? You can be doing like a figure 8 motion just with pinches alone, right? I'm not really doing anything. I'm just pinching, letting a point go, and then switching it off, right? Not doing really anything complicated. You can do like wave tuts to move to other pinches. Again, that's a good transition with finger tutting. But yeah, guys, that's basically all you're really doing. The thing is going to come to what you combine with your pinches. It's a good like transitional tool. But you want to get used to doing some pinches to expand on your style, right? Because you don't want to just stick to the regular way where you're just tracing stuff. It might look cool, but you can do a lot more stuff. It opens more potential if you're pinching, because you can move different ways and then close it. You go back to your central point, and then you can do other things, right? And you can be switching the pinch and then be opening up other stuff, right? You can be doing like waves with this, and you can go back to a pinch. This really goes well with like dials and like clusters as well, because in dials you're kind of doing the same thing. You're kind of pinching, but this is more of a dial. But you can still use it like as a pinch motion and then be traveling that way, right? You're just returning to the central point, and then you're moving in whatever way you want to, right? You're just opening up and isolating, kind of like you're doing with clusters, right? It's basically almost the same thing, but with pinches, it's like the way you can pass through things with the pinches, make that illusion, right? You can be doing pass-throughs with pinches. Again, I like to do this one, which is really cool. You just open one up, bring one up right there, and then switch it, right? You can be moving them back, moving them forward, but that's all you're doing. You're just passing through pinches, right? And then you combine those with other elements. But it's going to help you out when you want to travel around and be messing around with other motions you can create. Again, right? Like we talked about patterns, the patterns you're doing with your pinches. Because you're basically, like I said, you're just returning the points into one whole point. Then when you open them out, now you have 2 points right here, right? But then when you open it up, you have 3 points right here, right? You have the one in the middle, and then you have the other pinkies. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with basic pinch. You can do like a pinching motion right here, and then be working with like dials or creatures. But like I said, pinching is gonna give you more room to do stuff with, and give you that illusion, right, that you're passing things through and then bringing them back out, passing it on. Again, you can use pinches as just a structure, because it literally just works as a point, right, depending which one you have. But that's a good way to do it. And yeah, that's it. Combining all the other concepts together and with all the finger tutting rules that you have to follow, you can do a lot of crazy things with just pinches, right? I will definitely watch Youngblood's video on pinches. He does a really good job at explaining what he does and explaining morphing as well, right? With morphing, goes well with pinches because pinches can help you out to do that seamless transition, right? Seamless transition into other concepts, because that's why you want to get your shows to look fluid and look like it's one seamless move, right? You're not really just stopping somewhere and then starting something else. The thing is, you want to, even if it just looks simple, or it doesn't look as techy or complicated, but as long as you're keeping it clean and everything is transitioning well, everything is going together, then you're going to be able to make that morphing motion, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be tech that you're morphing into. It can be other things, right? You can be doing liquid, which can morph into finger rolls, right? You can be doing liquid, which transitions into tutting. You can be doing dials, which transition into pinches, right? Just depends what you want to do, but you want to work on those seamless transition. And pinching is great because you kind of reset, right? You can even be doing pinches with your whole hands, right? Coming over here, isolating, because these are working as one point, Remember, you can have them like this if you want, like in a dial motion, to give it more of an accentuated point, but it's still working as a point, right? You can be having this structure and then pinching over there, right? It's still a pinch, but you know how to work that because you know your grid. You know how many points you have out. It just depends on how many points you have out and how you transition into more points, right? And how you work what you isolate. But with pinches, it's very good to know because you can be traveling just with pinching, and it all goes well with all the rules we've talked about in gloving, right? And the thing is, you can combine those pinches and then open up new stuff, right? Open them up in whatever really way you want, because you reset and then you open them back up, right? Doesn't really matter where you open. You can be opening that way, opening this way, opening that way, and you reset, right? You make new structures appear that you can work with, right? So anyways, guys, go watch Youngblood's tutorial. Does a great job at pinching concepts. The How to Glove YouTube channel. Definitely, you can learn some combos over there. He can give you a new perspective. Again, this concept isn't really that complicated. Anybody can really do it. It's just practicing the different motions and what you can do combining those other concepts, right, with pinching. It's kind of like a concept that goes together with all the other stuff. You don't really use it by itself. You can, but you basically want to combine it and see what you can do when you combine other concepts with that, right? You want to use all the concepts to its full ability and knowing how to work those points in the grid to make stuff appear and make stuff disappear. But yeah, you can get pretty mind-blowing stuff just with pinches. I even seen the How to Glove do two circle motions, two circle patterns with just pinches, right? That's all you're doing, but it looks pretty cool with just with whatever he's doing, right? Just mess around with that. Go see that video. Also, you can use code NightShadow95 on Amazing for 10% off your next purchase if you want to support me in that. And yeah, guys, that's basically all I wanted to talk about today. I'll be bringing you more videos soon, and hope you learned something new. Anyways, guys, this has been the Night Shadow. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.